Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, there were scenes of rioting and devastation across Dundee the other night. It's the fourth year on the trot. They keep doing it, but it is a sad sign because it means that there's quite simply not enough policemen doing their job. There's a lot of bad parenting going on. The whole of Scotland really is turning into a lawless pit simply because of the SNP's desire to make it that way. And I do feel that the rioters themselves has made a major mistake. They were rioting in their own areas. That's never a good thing, because when you wake up in the morning, you look out and see what you've done to your own streets. Not good. What you should have done, if I may say, and give you a little bit of advice for next year, is just go up the road a bit to Broughty Ferry. And if you're going to have a riot and burn things, do it there. Do it there in the leafy suburbs where Humza Yousaf lives, and let him see the result of his policies, the result of the SNP's abandonment of decent, normal people for so very long. Let them see that what happens when you reduce the police is something that affects them, not the rest of us. And that's what you need to do in future. Never riot in your own backyard. Go to where they live. Riot in theirs. We'll take a look. Now, right at the end of that header just now, you may have heard the doorbell go. I went down, it was the man from Amazon delivering something. I looked at it. I have a sneaking suspicion it is my Christmas present from my wife, or one of them. And so I'm going to have to resist the urge to open it up and see what it is. I'm like a child, I really want to. Anyway, the Dundee riots, we'll get into this. The Dundee riots, SNP urged to take action to tackle trouble on the streets of lawless Scotland. If Scotland's lawless, it's because the SNP have made it so. It's their policies that have arrived at this situation. They can't blame anyone else after nearly 17 years of being in charge, can they? And they're the ones who are cutting the police budget and police numbers. Anyway, with both Police Scotland and the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service under immense strain due to SNP cuts, the Scottish Tories want to know what ministers are going to do to prevent yet another repeat of these disgraceful scenes. And there we go. The trouble is the kids have got no fear. They just feel that they can do anything they like. And unfortunately, it appears that they're right. No one is stopping them. It's not like the old days when you go back, say, 25, 30 years ago. The cops would have been out there and they'd have, whacked them. They wouldn't have let them get away with it. There would have been threats of, and then actual physicality, getting the old holly over the back of the head. Anyway, a Scottish community was left terrified for the fourth Halloween running after a mindless gang of youngsters went on the rampage. The local council leader said he is appalled and angry at the criminal behaviour. An estimated 50 children, some of primary school age, ran riot in the Kirkton area of Dundee on Tuesday night, setting off fireworks and starting an illegal bonfire. A year ago, rioters targeted the emergency services in the same area, with locals comparing the disorder to a scene from the horror movie The Purge. Now, what you need to do is get the police out there. You're not going to stop them all, of course not, but what you do is you start grabbing the ones you can get, throw them in the paddy wagon, take them down the station. When the parents come up to collect them, you take the details and then you bill the parents. And you bill the parents for all the damage caused. Now, if you only have half a dozen kids, that's fine. You divide it by 6. Or you get the other kids to give up the names so that that bill can be spread more thinly and the parents have to pay a little bit less. But start charging the parents and they may start parenting properly. When they're getting bills for thousands of pounds, and if they don't pay them, they go to court, they go to jail, they take the house off them, everything. Take the possessions off. If you want to raise children like that, you must be prepared to pay the price. The Scots Tories said similar scenes had been repeated over the last 4 years and called for the Scottish Government to explain what it is doing to tackle the problem of lawless youths in Scotland's towns and cities. Cops were called to a disturbance in the Bewley Avenue and Bewley Square areas, with youths throwing stones at the windows of an empty house and torching wheelie bins because they're all morons who are ill-bred up. And of course, not having police on the streets to stop it doesn't really make for anything that's kind of a deterrent, is it? what do you expect? What do you expect in lawless Scotland when you have a government that is actually wanting this to happen? They want Scotland to literally be a lawless devastation, a scorched earth policy. So whoever comes in afterwards is starting from scratch and just cannot do it in one service, one sitting, 1 5-year period to try and fix it. So in 5 years' time, the SNP come back and cast their usual bullshit about utopia. But they're the ones that are causing it. The behaviour was branded moronic by the SNP council leader John Alexander. Well, that seems a bit rich coming from the SNP, considering it's their policies that have led to it. Chief Superintendent Phil Davison said there was no justification for the feral behaviour. Can I ask where your policemen were then, Chief Superintendent? Were they out there? Were they arresting them? Were they hitting them over the head with truncheons? Or were they just sitting back, eating donuts, while sitting on their fat asses and doing nothing? I think it's probably that, isn't it? Mr. Alexander told the BBC, BBC Radio Scotland, that the crowds, met by officers in riot gear, about 4 of them when you see the pictures, not many, had dispersed by 10 p.m. He said the scenes were completely appalling. We had anticipated there may be some issues. There was a significant amount of intelligence gathering by Police Scotland in particular. Not that much, surely. Would have stopped it if there was. But of course you don't know exactly how things are going to transpire, and no matter how much you prepare, you don't know how it is going to unfold. It makes me incredibly angry. My mum and dad stay a couple of streets away, and as a parent look at the ages of some of those young people, I'm appalled. The whole situation makes me incredibly angry and sad, not only for those young people, but for the wider community, who it does not reflect upon. It was a group of about 50 out of a community of thousands. They're not representative of Kirkton. And he pointed out that despite the targeted house being empty, criminal damage is still criminal damage. He said that and the fact they took it upon themselves to throw stones and smash windows show you how much they care that they have for their own community. While the disruption was less than last year, it clearly paints a very sad and unhelpful picture. And that is the problem. That's the SNP for you. Look, one police wagon, you can see there, one police wagon. A couple of policemen dotted around. They should have been arresting each and every one of them, getting them down there, and getting the parents to come down and collect them. And then once you've got the parents there, like I say, you start billing them. That'll soon change, won't it? The parents, instead of just being lazy and not raising their children properly, all of a sudden had to pay out a lot of money. They may start then doing something to raise those children properly so they don't become a lawless, feral group. Because it's not a single step from that to actually people dying, is it? It isn't going to be far. That's what you get when you have the SNP in charge of justice in Scotland. And they cut the police, they cut the fire service, they cut everything. Because everything's got to be independence. Well, who wants to live in an independent country filled with children like that? I'm coming up. Imagine, though, if they had gone down the road, if they had gone to Broughty Ferry, if they had be throwing stones at Humza Yousaf's house, burning Humza's car, loitering menacingly outside his house. Guarantee things would have turned out very, very differently. But, alas, not to be. They're doing it to their own areas. Don't do it to your own areas. Go to Humza's area. Do it in front of him. Show him the world he helped create. Then he'll learn. I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well. And let's hope that next year the police are on the ball and they start arresting these wee shates. Bye.